The most important types of privilege can apply to any of the groups that I've discussed here. These are huge indicators of whether someone will be successful in life, and it has nothing to do with race or orientation or gender or whether you're trans. The biggest predictors of success in life are things like having two parents at home, staying in school, going to good schools, being lucky enough to be intelligent. Being tall is a surprising one. Something like 95% of CEOs are over 6 foot. If your IQ is below a certain level, I think 80 or something, 85, you're incapable of doing any job productively. If you get given a job, you're going to cost the company more than you make them by doing that job. That's a huge disadvantage. Being attractive is incredibly important, especially for women. If you're an attractive woman, you can breeze through life. Unless you all you have to do is not fuck it up. You can, assuming you're straight, you can marry a successful rich man and just have the life of your dreams if you're an attractive woman. Ugly women are pretty fucked. They're going to have a hard time of it. Just like unintelligent men are pretty fucked. They're also going to have a hard time of it. Because if you're unintelligent, you can't fix your situation. If you're an ugly man who's intelligent and can get rich and you're funny, then you're potentially going to be more successful in life. Just like if you're an attractive woman, even if you're a bit dumb, there's going to be plenty of takers. So in attractiveness and intelligence. And then we can talk about more vague concepts like charisma, being funny if you're a man, being born in a developed, rich country that has freedom of speech, not being born into a theocracy. I think being born a Muslim is a massive disadvantage because Muslim countries are oppressive, they're less developed, they rarely have freedom of speech. If you're gay and born into a Muslim country, you're pretty fucked. Being born now or recently is again a huge advantage. The world is far more developed and far better than it ever has been on any measure. Don't listen to the news. The world is far better than it ever has been. Poverty's lower, literacy's higher, freedom is higher across the world. It's just a better world to live in. So being born now is a huge privilege. There are so many types of privilege that are more important than white privilege, including black, gay, trans, and female privilege. That why white privilege is constantly talked about. It's a red herring. It's bullshit. I mean, in narrow situations, in 2019, white privilege exists. It was a much bigger deal 50, 100, 200 years ago. And it was specifically, literally, quite a very strong privilege in apartheid South Africa or the Jim Crow South in the US, when whites literally did have more rights. This is a long time ago. This isn't the case anymore. You've got white farmers being genocided in South Africa, and no one wants to talk about it. But anyway, yes, there's many, many types of privilege. And the only one we ever hear about is white privilege. A celebrity privilege is another one. Being born rich, money privilege. Again, another extremely important one. Passport privilege. Having a decent passport that lets you move around the world and go and move to a country if you want to. Some passports are much better than other passports in terms of doing that. Personality privilege, not being autistic, not having some kind of learning difficulty, that's a huge disadvantage. Like if you can't read emotions on someone, how are you going to get along in life? That's hugely important. Being autistic would be a huge disadvantage. But again, all we hear about is white privilege. It's just not that important. And actually, I think the demonization of the straight white man has gone so far in the West. I think there isn't any advantage you get from being white is massively cancelled out by the disadvantages you get from being white. The systemic discrimination against whites now is fucking everywhere. You have unconscious bias training, which is A, scientifically unproved, and B, just fuck white men. White men are scum. White men are the Dalit, untouchable class of society, and we need to systematically discriminate against them. That's what unconscious bias training is. And even the people that invented it say there's no evidence that it does anything. It's just an excuse to fuck white men. If you're in a corporate environment now, You can basically say, fuck white men, they're dog shit. Can't say that about anyone else. It's just white men. The Dalit untouchable class, the scum of society. This is codified into corporations, into schools. In schools, again, indoctrination of kids. Straight white men are shit. Like, we are months, maybe years away from white boys in school having to say their penance every morning. White men are evil. White men have destroyed the world. White men have never done anything good. It is the black trans women of color. They invented all the science. They invented the jet engine and the television. They invented the computer. It was all black trans women of color. History's being rewritten by Google now. Just do some searches on there. You know, men can have periods. Men can get pregnant. You look up physicists, a load of black dudes come up. Again, Google can tweak this stuff, but the Google search engine is already rewriting history. Hamilton the musical, founding fathers of the US are black. Were they? I mean, we know that's not true now. In 100 years, will people know that's not true? And all this technology is used to just propagandize you and no one knows what's real anymore? Like that, we could be on that road. So, yeah, there's many types of privileges. And I don't think being white is a privilege anymore. I think the opposite is now true because black privilege, gay privilege, trans privilege, and female privilege have destroyed any white privilege that existed. This is the real world. This isn't the bullshit world that the media and the extreme left, which has taken over the left, is trying to feed you. Just open your eyes to it and be aware of it.
This was the Deviant Developer Podcast. Tap subscribe in any podcast app to never miss an episode. To contact me or make a welcome donation, go to thedeviantdeveloper.com.